Whether your business, college, or organization is looking for e-learning, serious games, or training simulations, Designing Digitally will take your training needs to the next level. Every solution Designing Digitally provides is custom tailored to the client's specific needs and helps achieve organizational objectives through the use of innovative online learning experiences. Designing Digitally specializes in creating educational, engaging, and entertaining learning experiences that will stick with your learners and increase retention. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday morning, afternoon for those folks on the UK. This is TLD Cast. We're here every morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. UK time, and we talk about instructional design stuff. We talk about training stuff. We talk about learning and development stuff. We talk about all those things that we do to help make other people better at what they do, because that's the professional stuff that we do. And today is always our favorite day of the month. It's the day we get to spend an hour with the busiest guy I know, Mr. Andrew Hughes. How are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing okay. How about yourself, man?
I am hanging.
You in a tie.
I am wearing a tie today. Yeah, I decided to throw this on and mix things up a little bit.
I'll tell you, I gave up on the ties when I hit my 30s. So.
I did too, actually, but I'm starting to get back into them because I don't really know why. I just felt like it's like I don't like wearing jewelry, so I figure a tie is like that step up from just a shirt and a pair of pants. So.
Yeah, I am I can't. You guys would, if you saw me on a daily basis, you'd be like, "What is wrong with you?" I have no interest in clothes whatsoever. It's not of interest to me. If I could wear the same thing every single day, I would, and I almost do. Normally, you will see me in a black shirt. And a mix between either jeans, workout pants, or shorts, or khaki shorts. I just wear almost the same thing every single day. I find it to be, I don't know, a waste of my time to do that. And my wife, so when we go out, my wife's like, "You're wearing this. You're not wearing that."
I love the idea of having your own uniform. I've heard about this from a lot of people that make efficient use of their time. They pick out one thing that they like, that fits, that they love, and then they'll just buy like six of the exact same outfit, so they don't have to think about it. They just grab the clean one, put it on, they're good to go.
Sadly, when I do that, it's like 14, not just 6. So like I dive straight into it. And yeah. So if you're not a client coming into the office, I'm mostly in a black shirt or some type of close black shirt, a jacket, and mesh pants. So I look like your high school gym teacher the majority of the time, and I'm okay with that because I'm comfortable. And that's our dress policy here. You can wear your pajama pants for all we care, as long as you're producing.
There you go. There you go. And just in case people didn't know, Andrew's with Designing Digitally.
Oh yeah. Oh hi. Hey.
Hi everybody.
I think some of them know.
Most of the people in the chat today know who you are. But in case somebody's watching this in the recording, for example, give us the quick 30-second rundown of who Andrew Hughes is.
Oh man, I hate this part. I know. It's just I've always been like a team player, so I hate the Andrew Hughes, the single person part. Okay, so I'm Andrew Hughes, president of Designing Digitally. I'm also a professor at the University of Cincinnati. I've been there for a decade, and I teach in the business and business law tech department. So I teach everything from courses at Linder College of Business to Claremont's IT Park, Blue Ashes Interactive Media, and then main campus business classes. And the majority of my work is now online for the last 5 years. Since I had my son, I proposed going online fully, and I've been online sense. Outside of that, my wife and I own a property company, and we own some properties in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm a flag footballer, so I play men's competitive flag football. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but that's what guys that never went to or just finished college and didn't have anything else to do, that's what we do. I have 2 kids, 2 boys, one 4 going on 5, and then one that is 1. And so it is a madhouse at my home at all times. Outside of that, designing digitally is in Franklin, Ohio, and which is in between Cincinnati and Dayton. And there's 19 of us, and all in-house. And then there's 18 contract employees that are virtual employees. And we build basically very high-end e-learning, training simulation, serious games, and mobile learning for large corporations, government agencies, and then universities on the grant side. And most of our work is based around obviously different levels of production that we have, but also around the approaches and the need of the customer. So a lot of times we're building an entire curriculum for, let's say, onboarding somebody at Wyndham Hotels. And so we're not necessarily just building a single e-learning module or something of that nature.
Right.
So there's a long way.
I think our goal for today was to talk a little bit about challenges that we have. Am I on the right path?
Yeah.
Do we have challenges? I can't imagine any instructional designer having challenges at all. It's the work is so easy, and the people we work with, they're so amenable, and they let us do whatever we want, right?
Yeah, and everything is so black and white and so easy to depict and understand, and there's no smoke and mirrors, and there's no buzz and no hype. We're just black and white as accounting here, people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We are. It's that clear, that clear and easy to do. So, well, let's break it down then, because of course we have our tongues firmly planted in cheek. And let's get serious. What are those challenges? What do you want to? Which one do you want to tackle first of the many?
The first one I want to talk about is technology.
Okay.
Because one of the things that I see is we see the hype cycle of a particular methodology or approach or technology, and then we think that's the answer to everything, rather than looking at solving the business problem. And so, in my opinion, the first one we need to talk about a little bit is the leveraging of technology, because we all go to the conferences, and our company has exhibitor booths at the conferences too. But what we see is a new technology popping up each and every day. About every 18 months, we get a new buzzword in this industry, and it's literally about every 2 years. And then all of a sudden, everyone's striving for that buzzword to try to pull in any business because somebody thinks that may solve the problem. And so for me, I think technology is the first one to talk about. And the reason why is the developers of the platforms have done an excellent job. I look at Storyline, I look at Captivate, I look at iSpring, I look at Raptivity, I look at like Tora, Rise, Adapt,
Domino,
Riser, Adapter, open source, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, where I'm going with this is, they're all excellent technology tools, but they don't solve every single problem for every single situation. And so one of the things I have to say is you really need to make sure you do a technology analysis, and you really determine on the output of what you need. LearnDash is great also. Sorry, I don't directly represent any of those. We're an agnostic development company. So we love them all, and we just don't directly represent each and any one. So sorry to name drop for anybody, and if I left you out.
it's okay.
And then, outside of that, I think the other side of it is I think we try to push technology, thinking that that'll solve the training problem that we may have. And the biggest one I see right now is the VR realm. And how much we're trying to push that. But there are some pros and cons of that, and we can talk about that later. But right now, I think one of the biggest things that I see is the adaptation of technology and us analyzing what is actually happening, rather than just jumping on the hype cycle. Because the first people to jump on the hype cycle are the marketing department. And the reason why is as soon as, one of the influencers like Brett here starts talking about, I don't know, I'm just going to make it up, nanobot AI machine learning for training. All of a sudden, within 30 days, there are half a dozen articles on any one of the vendors' websites regarding this stuff. So what does that mean? That means we need to figure out a way as a community to get through the smoke and mirrors that we see, and figure out what is actually viable and what is actually going to be utilized. And yes, Kim, capitalism does money drives everything. And I'm not even going to get on that because, trust me, I don't have a big enough soapbox today. But money drives everything. The fact of the matter is the situation that you have challenges within training departments at all these companies, and you have people trying to solve the problems for them. And they're trying to make a connection in the middle, and that's where capitalism happens. And the hard part you have about that is when you're putting those connections together, you don't know how sound this connection is to solve that problem. So I always say, make sure you please do your due diligence on not just the technologies, but anybody that, your consultants, your developers, anything like that. Because you'll find
what are you hearing. Let's just dig into that a little bit, because this is my favorite part about having conversations with you, being somebody that in your business is, I'm sure you're getting RFPs all the time, people sending you just emails, and you're meeting with folks, and they're, wanting to pick your brain, and how much would this cost? Hey, should we be thinking about this? How much of that hype cycle do you hear on a regular basis? And let's just keep picking on VR. I mean, are you hearing it from people saying, we've been hearing this VR thing is really popular. We really want one of those. Can you get us a VR?
We do. And then the first thing we do is educate them. Here's your pros, here's your cons, here's the hardware, here's the cost of the hardware, here's the cost of the hardware if we scale it up, here's what is required. And I hear this and I'm not exaggerating, on a daily basis. However, there are some excellent uses. I've heard some absolute jaw-dropping, amazing developments, and we're actually working on some where we're utilizing those technologies, but it works within the construct of what we're trying to do. Trying to get everybody a Vive to run your simulation for a 1-hour training experience to 10,000 people is not feasible. And if it is feasible, you're dumping a whole lot of money into 1 hour of training. And if you do your actual cost analysis, you'll find that it's not going to add up. You could have done 20 dozen modules for that and worked on a middle level Bloom's taxonomy approach, rather than trying to go all what out and figure out how to utilize the technology before you really have thought through exactly how you're going to utilize this to benefit the company. And that's the thing that I always say, how are you benefiting the company? And that's what the same thing when our team is a democracy here. If the first thing I say is they want to propose something, you can propose it, but the first question I'm going to ask, not how does it benefit you, but how does it benefit the company? And so that's the first thing we ask is how does this benefit them? Well, it's going to train them on this, but are they already trained on that? Well, yeah. Okay, so how is this going to benefit the company if they're already trained on that? Do you have safety violations for that? How many? What's your ratio of that? Is it high enough to warrant us doing something like this? Then let's rock and roll. But if it's not, then let's look at a different approach before you dump hundreds of $1,000s into a simulation to use once a year for an hour.
when you've had these conversations with folks, you know, I know sometimes people are really stubborn, and you may not even hear what they do after they're done having the conversation with you and after you've educated them. I'm just curious if you happen to hear back later that somebody, despite you educating them going someplace else and just doing it anyways.
Yeah, I've heard of. So the first thing I'll say is, I'm a humble person, so I'll tell you, I've heard of people that did that, and we gave them advice that said probably not a good idea, and they did it, and it worked out great for them. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. And then the second, I've heard of people, that's a really bad idea. You should not do that. And then they went and did it, and then I get an email. Yeah, that wasn't such a good idea. Or, and then we have had the third where they didn't go with us for a particular reason, and then we went with somebody else, and then 4 months later, we get a phone call asking to clean it up. Yeah. And so, and we'll gladly help those people because we want to make sure that it's still a success, because this represents not just designing digitally, but our industry. Yeah. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if it's us or one of the other major development companies. What you will find is if we do a VR project for Fortune 1000 Acme company and we botch it with them, that opportunity for any other company to do it is over. Because as a CEO, as a CEO, if I realize that this doesn't work, I'm not even going to put that back on the table again. So in regards to that, we always look at it as if we end up doing a shot job or we don't provide value to the business by developing something that is going to make the business perform better, then in essence, we aren't doing our job and we're not doing a service to our industry. And that's how we look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tech, so we talked a little bit about tech as a challenge. What other challenges should we hit today?
Oh, gosh, man, you're killing me. Here's one that I see a lot, which every single one of us can respect in here. There's always that go with the off the shelf versus go with something custom developed around our company. And here's what I can tell you. If you want to go high level and you want to teach somebody about emotional intelligence, or like a great example, buddy of mine, Dr. Carl Kopp, you guys probably know him. In our orientation, one of the orientation courses is Carl's Gamification of Learning and Instruction. That's on LinkedIn. It's one of the courses that you are required to take to work here, no matter what position you have, so that you have a better understanding of exactly what we do and how we approach that material, because Carl's done a great job of documenting that and writing about it. In regards to that, we're doing that so that people are held to the same standard as what we have in the industry. And we would like to ensure that we do that across the board with everybody that's in the industry, so that we, in essence, can ensure that we help educate and punch through some of the hype cycles and the smoke and mirrors.
Well, let's hit that one then. Let's blend these two challenges together and let's talk about gamification, because I know it's a thing. It's probably one of those, maybe we're beating the dead horse here, but I mean, I think it's a good thing to talk about every now and then. I don't think we've talked about it for a while. So how do you guys view, what is your approach to anybody saying, hey, we've heard of this cool thing called gamification. Andrew, can you totally help us out? We want to build one.
Okay, so there's a couple things. There's two different types of gamification. There's structural gamification. That's putting points, badges, leaderboards, adding structural to change behavioral, getting them to do this and giving them this. That structural gamification is things like Zonify, Bunchball, M-Level. And those are great products. I am friends with all of those people that work there in those companies. They're good, solid softwares. And sorry if I missed anybody. I don't mean it in any offense. Again, I don't represent directly or indirectly any of those. They don't have any agreements with us. We are platform agnostic. But that structural gamification really helps for if you want them to go somewhere, or open something or interact with something. But it doesn't necessarily make the content fun for them to interact with. And that's the next one. We have what's called content gamification. This is where we actually take information, data about the particular company, about the rules and regulations, about the needs, about the requirements they have. And then what we do is we actually figure out ways to incorporate that with game mechanics and actually develop out a game-based learning experience, whether that's a gamified e-learning module, which is in our middle level blooms, or all the way up to our higher level where it's a full out game. And what do I mean by that? Here's the key fundamental difference, and this is where I will get just not happy about this. Myself and many other people at Designing Digitally have formal game development and instructional design degrees. We are not an e-learning company that decided to just dump this into their buzzwords that we do this. And the reason why I tell you that is we know, like Dr. Cap has done formal educational research and training on how to do these things. So please make sure you look up who you're talking to, who's doing the presentation on this stuff, and make sure that you're getting the accurate information and they're not just regurgitating something that someone else has stated in one of these. And I state that because I see that all over now. And I'll be the first one to say it because, Brent, you were there 7 to 8 years ago when I was at the Guild and I walked in there and I had my booth for the first time and my wife and I are sitting in that booth. You would not have any idea how many people looked at me and said, games in this industry? No, nobody's going to do that. No one. I go through the booths right now and there's not one that doesn't have that as on their booth now. And I'm going, where's your formal game developers?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have them because you're an e-learning company and you're just jumping on that hype cycle. Now, I state because back up. We all can learn that stuff. We all can learn it formally. We all can learn it the other way. But realistically, let's be honest with each other. If you're going to have a game-based learning experience done, you're going to want to go with a company and an organization that actually has game developers, that actually has instructional designers, that actually has done this effectively, and make sure that you're picking the right vendor for the solution. And it may not be us. There's people out there that are equivalent or if not better than us. So I'm not just saying that for Designing Digitally. Just do your homework.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a huge difference between taking actual legit game designers and developers and asking them to create an instructional interactive experience versus taking a bunch of instructional designers and e-learning developers and asking them to create an instructional experience. You will get two very, very different outcomes, I think, at the end of the day. And I go with the game developers all the time, not to put too fine a point on it, but you know, the skill sets and the tools available to them and just the idea of doing it and creating a game, I think has instruction like built into it. I was
Absolutely it does.
Today. Yeah. So A Theory of Fun by Raph Koster. I've been promoting this book for years and years and years now. And the thing that makes something fun is the learning. That's why we play games. You continue to learn and you continue to get better. Learning is naturally built into any game you've ever played in your entire life. And it's an incredibly natural thing that a game developer is just going to naturally be good at creating something. If they're a good game developer, they understand and are very good at advancing somebody's skill to that next level, right? There's a reason why they call it leveling up, right? And all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we could go down that road pretty crazy, but I know we're talking about challenges here. So, you know, and the different challenges that we face, we have to stay on track for your for your team.
Boss ladies will kick my butt. Oh man, you have no idea. They're good ladies. You know, one of the things that we can find that I can quickly show to go over that.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pop this up real quick for you. When it comes to like leveraging that content and leveraging that technology, I'll show you something to work on right now.
Cool.
So I'm just going to show you screenshots, but we've developed, we talked about this before, VODA, which was the National Institute of Health's grant, develop out arm movements for 6 degrees of access for people that have had strokes or were in car accidents, right? And we have put things such as you're able to do the groceries, things like that. And the reason why is a lot of people want to be able to do their everyday things.
Yep.
But here's what you guys should know. We're actually in the middle of developing out a day in the life of, and you are given things that you need to get done during the day, like you need to go shopping, and you need to brush your teeth and take care of yourself. And you need to be able to do your clothes and hang your clothes up to dry, things like that, and fold your clothes. And here's the really cool part. For all of you that don't know, we are doing this as a VR build now. And what we've taken is the Leap motion device, and we have strapped that to the front of the Vive. And we now no longer need to use the controllers, and they can just use their hands with it on. And we no longer have to touch any controllers at all.
And so this is for, and just to be clear again, so this is for rehabilitation for folks that are trying to learn how to regain the different range of motion.
Yes, to regain the range of motion of their arms and their wrists and their elbows, and how to regain their arm movement. Now, for Lisa, no gloves. The Leap motion device just tracks your hand movements and your fingers.
Yeah.
So we have integrated that with the headset, and that's what they're now using, and they will have in the hospitals rather than utilizing the controllers, because the controllers are cumbersome. They're heavy for somebody that's had a stroke. And so you, in essence, need to be able to have some ability for them to interact with these things in a little bit more depth than what we've done in the past, because we want to be able to do, like, we have our intro and our 8 hours of actual training where we're using the Connect to do it, but now we want to do the advanced part where we're actually getting into using your wrists and your elbows to fold and do these things. So now we're in the middle of developing that out. So that's what you see, a couple screenshots here, and they're sending us some more. I asked them to send me a couple more images, but to give you guys an idea, this is all built out into a virtual island game-like experience for them. So this is one of the levels of the map and their actual living space. So they will have to complete all of this to complete that day's training. So it's all built into these different levels and complications on how well they do. And then you guys should know that we are tracking that, and it's being compared into a separate system that shows the actual improvement and shows us the ranges of movement for the same activity over a time period to see if those 6 degrees of accesses are actually improving, because we're actually able to track all that movement and record all of that movement into a actual system that will then sparse all that out and tell us how well they're actually improving.
That is absolutely awesome. And no, we have not actually gone over this particular project yet. I thought you were going to show us the store, the retail store, or the restaurant game that you guys created. They're a simulation. I guess it's more simulation, but
yeah,
that's a cool one too.
Let me see if I have. I think I might have shown this video before of actually it being in use, but this is just the Connect version. So give me just 10 seconds.
Oh, you know what? And while you're doing that, I'm going to show this quick video because just
oh, I got it.
Okay, cool.
That's how fast I am.
Go for it.
I lied. Now my hard drive's mad.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. So here's actually that version in the hospital. So this is the version without the VR built into it, and now we're implementing the VR and allowing for us to track the hands and the arm movements.
Oh, look at that.
So he's actually doing this, and he's just doing it as occupational therapy this way. And what this does is it frees up OTs to do more advanced pieces. So this is basically their ability to see and accurately determine on an analytical level how well they're doing and how well they're improving, because we have these consistent activities and exercises that they continuously will be doing.
That is unbelievable, man.
Yeah, man. These are the cool R&D projects and stuff that we're doing that don't get a lot of public exposure until they're all done, because these are National Institute of Health, SBIR grants, and basically you win a grant after you submit, and it'll be 180 days to, even longer before you know if you win. And after that, you have a year and a half to build it. Then you submit it, and it's another 6 months before they decide if they're going to give you the second round of funding. And then you build it, and then you submit that, and they confirm if it's viable for the actual society. And if it is, then you get the funding to roll it out. And now it's been rolled out.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah.
But it's all about improving people's lives, and that's what we like to do here: train them and improve their lives.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Let me just, it's because I never get a chance to show this because there's never a good segue for it, but this relates so perfectly to what we're showing as well. This is just another example for you folks that maybe have not seen something like this before. This was at ITSEC, the Interagency Inter-Service Training Simulation and
ITSEC. Yeah. Where they have game tech
expo stuff, right? And so this particular game I had a chance to play. So this was in the Serious Games Challenge, and I think a school or somebody had created this game, and so this was for amputees that that were learning how to use their prosthetic, and they. Well, I'll just explain it here.
Yeah, this is just one zone. Yeah, you only have about here. I just got 5 lives.
I just got my shot.
Very cool. So it allows it's basically a keyboard for somebody that doesn't have a hand.
Basically, it's triggering. It's being triggered by the motions in the muscles and the tendons in your forearm, just like the prosthetic would. And so it's teaching them to activate. And by playing this game, like you make different movements, and that's how you control the little dinosaur that's running across the screen.
So this is a great example of a culture shift that I'm starting to see inside of our industry. Before they would say, well, this is for military, which ITSEC's a whole different beast, and we can get into that later. But Brett, that's a whole different beast. But one of the things, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Blah. I just got on ITSEC. For any of you guys that haven't went to ITSEC, ITSEC is basically the military's simulation and serious game training conference. And the biggest difference is it's all military driven. And we all know we live in America, where you have the largest war machine ever. So if you want to see the most craziest simulations, I'm talking full out, machine gun haptic or a helicopter simulator, that's where to go, is to ITSEC, because that's where you'll find absolute flipped out stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I'll tell you one of the points that I was making. So I was doing this as a segment for Learning Now TV, and the Serious Games Challenge is where you see where the future is going. I got to be honest. I mean, I can remember way back in the day, the very first time I went to an ITSEC show was when Flash was just becoming a thing. All of the games that were created there were all done in Flash. And it was like, this new thing called Flash is going to be like so amazing because it's on the internet and it's blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Well, this particular video that I just showed you was done, what year did I say that was? I don't say, at least 2 or 3 years ago now. And every single game except one in the Serious Games Challenge was built in Unity 3D.
Yep. There's a couple reasons for that. Dave Helgeson, that this is crazy. So all right, so let me back up about Unity. Unity is an amazing game development engine, and what happened is way back a decade ago at least. Unreal was taking 10% of any commercial product after you bought the license, and a couple of actual people that are friends of mine that I met way back when on MIRC chat, back when I was a teenage kid in the 90s on dial-up. Just so happens these individuals, end up game developers and really were pissed off about the way the licensing worked for Unreal. So these guys got together and decided, hey, we're going to make a game engine. And it just so happens it's a buddy of mine named Dave Helgeson. And Dave Helgeson is the founder of Unity. And what he said is, I'm going to develop out this game engine, but I'm going to make it free for anybody to use until they go commercial. And we're just going to do a single flat licensing fee. And then from there, the military loved this. So back in, I think, 2009, there was this large push by the Department of Defense to get Unity approved as a government-approved software that they could use. And it was approved, and ever since then, it has taken off. So we have built it for we've used Unity to build for the FBI, for the Census Bureau, for the House of Representatives, for Congress, and then this one right here that actually won Game Tech. This was probably when Unity, a couple of years after Unity came out. We were one of the first to show up with a full-out Unity build that was military-focused. And what this is we built a massive multiplayer online World of Warcraft experience where what we're doing is letting you or educating you on what features and things are offered at the Air Force Academy. And the reason why is the Air Force Academy actually is in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is an hour-and-a-half drive from Denver. So for me to get there, if I'm thinking about going to the Air Force Academy for school, I have a 4.5-hour or 4-hour flight to Denver, then an hour-and-a-half drive to Colorado Springs for a 1-hour tour of the campus. So they were having a difficulty of getting people there to recruit. So what we did is we built this massive multiplayer online experience. And what it does is admissions reps are in here all day. And what they do is they have kids come in, they play these games, they earn points, they can talk to each other, they can play against each other. And then the admissions reps are actually in here and they give tours and they talk to you and they try to recruit you with inside of here. And you can fill out applications in here. You can play mini games. There's a flight simulator, so you can fly a jet. You can parachute. You can. It's got like this ability for you to, as an admin, it's got a whole web-based admin backend to edit, delete users, macros, so you can have pre-recorded responses. You can teleport everywhere. We were able to have you have desktop share inside of this, so you could share your screens, build in VoIP, and then build in virtual currency. So if you actually played all the games and you completed all the trivia, you could become the mascot. And so what we found is Johnny and Susie would be sitting there at school testing this out. And then, so-and-so would be standing beside him and said, hey, I want to play this. And they would actually do it. And what would end up happening is they say, well, how did you become the mascot? Well, I completed this. I did this. I checked this out. And so this was built 10 years ago, at least, with Unity.
And again, just so people realize, he's showing this to you as one person walking through, but legitimately when he says this is like a World of Warcraft experience, and if you've never played a massively multi-user game, there could be many avatars that look just like this one walking around these spaces that they've created all at the same time, interacting with each other, all being controlled by a real human on the other end, and engaging in that space.
And you can upgrade your clothing, and yes, so right there you're seeing there's two individuals who are actually interacting. I have the audio down, but you were able to actually talk, chat, interact, play games together, so on and so forth. There was an obstacle course, parachuting, kicking field goals, scuba diving, swimming, all of these pretty cool mini games that you could actually do, which are actually on the campus.
Nice.
So, and then this was ran until 2016. And from there, the grant or the funding is ran out. So you know how the government works. Funding's done. Thanks. And it's been an excellent experience for them. And the reason why I was going to say that is we won Game Tech with that as first place, best of show. So I'm trying to find a picture of that because I look like a young pup in that picture. But I will see if I can find that.
We want to see young pup pictures of you, Andrew. Come on, we want to see you.
You mean before life just like punched me in the face over and over?
Pre-kid photos are always hilarious.
So yeah, I know.
Different before the kids come along.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Talk about young pups. This is way back. That's 8 years ago. Look at that. Look at all of us.
Oh, the crew. Nice. Oh, I love it.
The old office.
Since we're talking about challenges, I may be picking a challenge that you weren't thinking of, so let me know. But I'm thinking that, everybody is really excited about this stuff, and just from watching people in the chat and looking through it, I think one of the challenges for our industry as a whole that I've seen play out over the last 10 years or so, is our skill sets. Like when we talk about, like, when I go to ITSEC and I see that every single game that's in a competition, or every single learning experience that's in a competition is built by game designers using native gaming engines, and I start to think to myself, wow, holy crap, maybe my little authorware skills, or the authoring tool of your choice skills, maybe I picked the wrong one, or maybe it's about time for me to up my skills, or should I be learning Unity 3D? And I guess the challenge that I'm kind of leaning towards is, how do we upskill the people that are currently in the industry, or how do we find the right people that know how to build this kind of stuff? I mean, you mentioned this earlier, right? Looking for a company that's not just saying that they know how to do it, but ones that really have the background.
Yeah, that really comes down to what you want your company to do and how you want your company to be. We had to look outside of the L&D industry. I may get beat for this comment. You ready?
I'm ready.
Some of my greatest instructional designers have communication degrees.
I wouldn't teach you for that.
And the reason why is, instructional design is a lot about communication. And don't get me wrong, we have some excellent instructional designers with formal instructional design degrees also. But I found, communication majors can grasp it pretty well. I also think
psychology, I think Lisa's right. Lisa drops in psychology, and I would say, industrial psychology and those folks that are just like get a BA in psych have oftentimes go and get their master's degree in user experience and interface design. I think they used to call it human computer interactions, HCI, was what all the degrees used to be called. And basically what those folks learned, and what the science behind all of that, it's the exact same stuff that we're talking about when we say, hey, we need a UI and a UX person and whatnot. Those are the people, those are the degrees, different names, different words, but those are the people that have the skills that we all look for.
Yeah, outside of that though, one of the things that I have found is understanding the psychology of a gamer, because just like I know that a lot of people are not big on the DISC profiles and Myers-Briggs and things like that. I believe though, birds of the feathers flock together. And so, especially when it comes to the culture side of the company. So in my opinion, if you really want to get into that kind of thing, I would first start on the psychology of game players, because that'll start to get you in a mindset of what are their motivational factors. And those motivational factors will allow you to put mechanics around those motivational factors. That's where I would start. And then on top of that, I would also turn around, and if you're looking to, get a staff, I would look at, looking at some of the game developers to work with the instructional designers. And the reason why is we have pushed into this society of the instructional designers supposed to be, and I see this model all the time, and we get asked, well, why does this cost so much? Because there's many models of, this one instructional designer, and you're a badass. We all know that. But you are overworked and underpaid. You're doing the graphic designer's job. You're doing the programmer's job. You're doing your job, and you're probably project managing it too. So the unfortunate part about that is you only, and it's funny because one of our coworkers was talking about this today, the spoon theory. You only have so many spoons. You can only take on so many roles before things start to slip. And I'm just stating, if you had 4 people working on it for 40 hours compared to 1 person working on it for 40 hours, your outcomes will always and should always be better than just 1 person working on it. So in regards to that, I would look at bringing in some of those influences, people that have game development experience backgrounds, but you're also going to have a filter, because your instructional designers are really wanting the educational side. They want to make sure that they know this stuff. The game developers want to make sure that they stay hooked into the game, because it's not just about, oh, that's a cool theme. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? It's about actual getting them to play it and that they enjoy the gameplay. And they enjoy the gameplay because they keep trying to play it again and again and again. And so
Joe's got a good question about that. She says, just the psychology of a gamer or the psych of people who are using the game-based platform to offer that? We aren't all gamers, but we might play the game.
Well, here's the thing. There's only, when it comes to actual playing games, there's only so many. It's been broken down by Bartle's game types. And there's only a certain amount. There's 5 different types of players. Just like the DISC profile is broken down into 4 different types of personality types. So when you look at those, you can actually look and see what those motivational factors and add some of those game mechanics into what you're doing. And one of the biggest ones that I want to say is stop doing a progression bar that tells us how long we have to go before we finish this module. All you're doing is incentivizing them to hurry up and get through your content. You're not incentivizing them to learn. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. We've been doing it for 15 years. We've been incentivizing them to hurry up through our module. That progression bar has done nothing. It has done nothing for motivational for us to do anything but hurry up and get your module over with. We've done it to our audience all day long, and we thought it was awesome. Whoa, we got a progression bar. Check this out. And all you've done is you've motivated them to hurry up and get your module done. That's what you've been doing.
How fast can I get to that the end of that bar is all they're thinking about when they're clicking that next button. Exactly.
So the other side that, I think Joseph said it, the shrinking budgets, the shrinking teams, less room, we're in a society where we're seeing that, we're going through a technology evolution, jobs are shifting. This happens about every decade. We see job shift, we see career shift. One of the things I can tell you, looking at this, I know that we are shrinking in the HR side of things. However, as that continues, you will also find that they will continue to have more and more problems, and they will ramp that back up, because the more you continue to add workforce, the more you're going to have workforce issues. And so it might not be right this minute, but we all know the job market is good because businesses are making money, but we're not necessarily getting any more. And what I mean by that is I don't think we have anybody in this room, no offense to anybody. Well, maybe you, Brent, but most of us are in the middle class, and we will probably be here for the rest of our lives, and that's okay. But in regards to that, that's where we are, and that's how it's going to go. So we need to figure out ways.
I don't own any property other than the house I live in, Andrew. So I am absolutely middle class.
I tell you, don't ever buy a rental property ever. Don't do it. Everyone here, I don't care if you love me or hate me. You can be my worst enemy. I will never wish upon you buying a rental property thinking you're going to have passive income. That is not true. That is an absolute false statement in our society.
Yeah, you get the get-rich-quick scheme on late night television, but
well, you know how this is. We've all read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Diversify. You should find passive income. You should buy rental property. No. If you don't have another job and you are some rich dude that can buy a dozen of them, sure, that works for you. No. But for us right here that are struggling, my dad was a factory worker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I was on discounted lunches through school. I don't have that.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, man, we're reaching the top of the hour. Let's wrap this up.
Okay, so there's a really important thing I want you guys to know. We've been talking a lot about these common corporate training challenges, and we're not going to be able to cover them all today. But I do want to say that we have put out a infographic over these challenges and how to kind of combat some of these challenges. And the reason why is we see things like serious games. They're wanting to measure this under a microscope of how effective this is, yet we are okay with the PowerPoints and the progression bars that tell us we're done, and a 10-question quiz that they don't remember anything. 75% of it is gone after a week. We're okay with that, but we want to put a game-based experience under a microscope of how effective they've been. That's one that we talk about and how to combat that, and then how to strategically align a learning experience around the business needs, and then how to gain buy-in. So those are things in that infographic that may be beneficial to you guys. Some of the things that we have found over our career of how to deal with those corporate training challenges that we see. They're not all of them, but there's some of them for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys definitely hit up that link and check out that white paper for sure. Because I think, we're all going through it. All of these different challenges, and we're all going to be hitting all of the same challenges that we aren't experiencing yet are coming. And it's so much better when we can all kind of work together and, read what everybody else is doing and enjoying each other's experience. It's why I love having you on the show, Andrew, to be able to share from your perspective all of the great key learnings that you have and the projects that you do. Really, really appreciate you supporting us and taking the time to share with the community.
Yeah, no problem. And if you guys get a chance, our writers and our researchers are blogging every single day of the week. So new article every day over a topic. And if you want, you can actually search. And so for all of you looking for gamification or something like that, you can click here and see any article that's written on any of that material just to help you guys. Okay. With that said, sorry, I didn't see that you made it.
No, that's okay. Got it.
Boom. So if you guys are looking on any of this stuff, and what we try to do is we try to stay out of the fluff, and we try to do everything we can to give you as factual information as possible. Okay.
Awesome. It's so great. Good stuff. Everybody hit up the Designing Digitally website and check out all that kind of stuff. And, if you guys end up having any questions, like if what you read on his website drives more questions than answers or answers a lot of your questions, but then you end up creating some more in your mind, reach out to them directly. And then Andrew is so personable and so easy to get in touch with, except for the fact that he only checks his email after 5 o'clock, but that's okay. We forgive you for that.
Yeah, sorry. And some of you know this, like Craig has emailed me before, and Lisa, you've emailed me before. At this current time, because of our growth and our growth strategy, I no longer get to answer email until after 5 o'clock. So I work from 11 a.m. to about 7 or 8 p.m. I get the time in the morning. I take my kids to daycare. I get that one-on-one time. And then from there, I actually start answering email at 5. And the reason why is everybody's out of the office. And what is fun is Brett just got to see it firsthand. Within the 15 minutes before this, there were 2 people in my office for multiple reasons. And I was like, come on over here. And they were both like, why do I have to be on camera?
Why do I have to talk to that guy?
So it's the only time that I get to do that and tech support. Like last night, I was mirroring hard drives because every computer we have here, I require to have a solid state drive. Time is money. I want these people moving as fast as possible and not complaining about computer speeds. So I was here last night mirroring drives while answering emails. Welcome to the small business life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Andrew, again, thanks so much, man. It's always so much fun to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise. And I'll be at Training 2019 next week, and then Learnapalooza, or I'm sorry, Adobe Conference in DC the week after that, and then Learnapalooza in Seattle, and then ATD ICE in DC. So if anybody wants to come hang out, I'll be there.
Learnapalooza, that's right, Seattle. I keep forgetting about that that particular one. That'll be a good one. Hey, fantastic, yeah. Andrew. Again, thanks so much, man. I'm going to close out your video. Great talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Hey, everybody, that was another fantastic day with Andrew Hughes. You guys just got to love the knowledge he drops on us every time he comes into TLDcast. I learn a lot every single day, and just getting a chance to have a conversation with him, being as busy as he is super helpful to me. So I hope it's helpful to you guys too. I hope you all enjoy these conversations that we have every time we have anybody on as a guest. You guys are great. Thank you so much for dropping all the questions in the chat and everything that you do. Reach out to us. Let us know if there's anything in particular you'd like to hear us talk about, and we will make sure that that happens. But as always, you guys, oh, it must be 10 o'clock. Alexa, stop. Sorry about that. I had an alarm set for 10 on accident. But anyways, that's our show for today. You guys get out there and train somebody, and don't forget to learn something new. Aha. Hmm.